The Podcasting Dead is available on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Make sure to subscribe for more podcasts. And while you're at it, drop us a like. If you want to help support the channel and have access to extra content, secret contests, and more, make sure to search for us on Patreon. Patreon.com/ThePodcastingDead.
All right, in a world gone mad, we're here to give you a little bit of sanity. We're not talking about anything going on in the world right now except for The Walking Dead. My name is Justin.
And I'm JP.
And we're The Podcasting Dead, as that little intro would have suggested. So make sure to check out our channel for more Walking Dead podcasts, as well as conspiracy, paranormal, and just shooting the schnit podcasts. We don't cuss on this one, I don't think. Sometimes I forget. On the Patreon we do. On this one we don't cuss as much. So sometimes I forget which one I'm allowed to cuss on. But yeah, so check out our channel if you enjoy podcasts. But right now, we're doing Walking Dead What Ifs, which is where we answer your questions, where you give us, like, Walking Dead, like, what if so-and-so would have done so-and-so instead of so-and-so. And then we just discuss how we think it would have went. Of course, you know, we're no way. Actually, many of our listeners are far more expertly versed in The Walking Dead than we are, but it's still fun to talk about, and we love hearing your thoughts in the comments below. So feel free to jump right on into the conversation. Speaking of the conversation, JP, what are we starting with?
Well, we've got a good one. The first one that really grabbed me by the haunches was our good buddy Owen.
Hold on. Wait. What are haunches?
You know, the nice soft parts around your thigh. You can right above
love handles.
Well, no, right above your like where your hips are when you got nice gushy hips.
Gushy hips.
Grab onto them, and just start to hunch and just hunch. I'm not saying I want to hunch Owen. Owen's a great fella, a Patreon, in fact. But just grab you by your haunches.
Very interesting. All right, sorry to interrupt. Back to the Walking Dead.
Okay, I'm going to get to hunching on this comment. He says, and this is interesting. You probably already knew this. I didn't know this. Just read today that Greg Nicotero originally pitched for Negan to die at the hands of Maggie in the season 8 finale. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
Yep.
Wow. He says...
I've read it.
Yeah. What if they went through with this? Would certainly make for a very contrasting diversion from the comics. So I guess that's the what if. What if Maggie had have killed Negan in that prison bunker in season 8, in the jail cell, in the basement?
So, yeah. Man, number one, you and I both would have had our jaws on the floor because we totally weren't expecting that. We were reading the comics. We knew the comic played out very similar to how it played out, only it wasn't, I don't think, a jail cell. I think in the comics he just kind of found her or whatnot. Well, how did that? Well, I mean, it wasn't in a jail cell, right? Like in the comics, I remember it being like in a house or something. Wasn't he staying up at like a little house and she rolled up to the house or something?
He had pretty much just settled in that little farmhouse or whatever it was and had his little like mock grave for his wife, and he was just chilling, and she rolls up and
it played out much the same way.
I mean, to go,
I think the difference would be in the comic there seemed to be a lot more regret on his end. It wasn't like in the show; it was portrayed much more, as far as I remember. Mind now, it's been like a couple years since I've read this, but in the show, it was more like kill me because I want to go be with Lucille. That's. But I believe in the comic there was more regret. Like it was more like I deserve it. I've been an absolute piece of shit, and I apologize. Like. You deserve to kill me, so you do what you need to do. And then, of course, I want to go be with Lucille anyways. But I feel like the comic, I remember there just being a little bit more regret in his reason for allowing Mag. I don't know that he necessarily wanted to die in the comic. I think he just realized that she's got me and I deserve it. So if she's going to do it, I'll let her do it, But I don't know. I don't think the last few seasons would have been near as interesting. I mean, Negan kind of was a background character in season, before. So I don't know. I mean, I think a little bit would have not been changed, but here lately, the last season or so, I don't think would have been as good.
Yeah, well, for one thing, Judith probably would have died in that blizzard when she ran off after Dog.
That's a good,
nobody else go chasing after her.
No kidding, yeah.
So we probably would have lost her. I don't know if anyone could have got to Alpha the way that Negan did. So who's to say that she would have got beheaded?
Right. Yeah, there could have been a lot of bad repercussions from Negan not making it to be a part of this, the Whisper.
I mean, imagine if they sent like Eugene in to infiltrate the Whispers and get close to Alpha.
I love you, Alpha. As a man of high intelligence, I appreciate a good old something. I don't even I'm sorry. I just completely dropped the ball. I can't think of anything that Eugene would say. I just imagine Eugene sitting there shaking naked in the woods as Alpha. With all due respect, do you mind if I remove your mask? Yeah. I am utterly and absolutely terrified to have sex with a walker.
Oh, man. Yeah,
that could have been hilarious.
Yeah, that would have been even better.
Get your finger out of my butt, Alpha.
Yeah. Oh, Lord. Oh, no.
Oh.
But yeah, so who knows? I wouldn't have liked the show as much.
No, there would have been a lot of bad would have came from it. Like you said, Judith would have died. Alpha probably wouldn't have been won over. I can't think of really anybody else that could have wowed her.
No.
Like Negan did. I mean, can you think of anybody that could have infiltrated in the way that he did?
Apparently, nowadays, Father Gabriel's getting all kinds of butts, so maybe he would have had a shot. I don't know.
I'm here to save your soul and please that booty.
Yeah. So, who's to say? But no, that's a good one, Owen. Definitely like diving in there. And thanks for informing me. Greg Nicotero's awful idea.
I had read that a while back, just like one of those like comicbook.com articles or something, but I forgot all about it till you mentioned it in that comment.
All right. What if from Dylan George? And we may have broached this before. I can't remember. But anyway, what if Karl never died? I think he would be the leader of Alexandria, still dating or married to Enid, who probably wouldn't have been piked and never had the Lydia storyline since he is older. I think he would basically get Rick's story from the comics. Side note, I think Enid died solely because Karl died and they didn't know what to do with her character.
Oh, 100%. I thought since they killed Sophia. Now, that's the thing. Sophia, if you read the comics, Sophia lived, I mean, spoilers, but like through the whole thing, Sophia lived the entire time. She never died. However, I thought it was very clever. I don't mind them, killing characters who survived in the comics when they do it in as a creative way like they killed Sophia. That was still one of the most heart-wrenching moments in the show's history, I believe. Like, if we made a top 10 list of most shocking Walking Dead moments, that would still probably be my number one, just because I didn't see that coming one bit. And the second she stepped out, I just remember the whole house watching that show just got dead, silent, and just like having nothing to say when it went off, just like, damn, But I totally thought that the reason why Enid was introduced because she was going to play the Sophia role. She was going to be Karl's little love interest for a while. And the only thing I didn't like when I thought they were going to play her that way is I was like, they're kind of playing her like Lydia. I mean, she lived in a society, but she's more wild, loves being in the woods and has a knife and is more Lydia than Sophia, would have been. Mm-hmm. But I thought once they started showing love interest, I was like, all right, so what they're going to do is she's going to take Sophia's place in the comics. Like, she's going to be Karl's love interest for a few seasons. And then when they introduce the Whisperers and Lydia shows up and gets Karl's interest, then Enid's going to kind of be put on the back burner. Because, I mean, Karl and Sophia were always really just friends. It was really Karl kept friend zoning Sophia in the comics.
I know he did.
Like, she kept trying to put the moves on him, and Karl was just like, you gross, leave me alone. But I thought that's what they were going for. And yeah, I absolutely think they killed her because they just didn't have anything else to do with her, which sucks because you could have. I didn't really care much for Enid. I liked Enid in the beginning. Didn't really care for her during her whole period where she was stepping up to Michonne and, like that kid that just wants to sit at the adult table. And it's just like, no. But, But if Karl was still alive, I think things would be a lot better because you kill him off when he's finally became a likable character.
For the most, chances are for me, if you're a preteen or a teen in The Walking Dead, you're just going to annoy the hell out of me. I did not have any kind of emotions when Enid died. Karl, the only thing I felt was how stupid it was. Henry, obviously, I've just had an overwhelming
JP hates
joy
kids.
When
I think a good half of the fan base was happy when Henry bit the dust. Mm-hmm. But I was sad when Karl died, man, because I finally got to liking him. Because, I mean, I could find like an old, I think it was in the season 3 finale, I had posted something on Facebook, you know, like, hey, Walking Dead creators, if you're looking for a main character to take out, Karl's a good candidate. Just because I did not like Karl, you know, and it's like I had people going, I met Chandler Riggs at a so-and-so Comic-Con. He was nice. I was like, I did not call for the death of Chandler Riggs. He's a fine young actor, and I like Chandler Riggs. The character of Karl is who I'm talking about, just like Andrea. I like Laurie Holden. I think she's a good actress and a great human being. I think Andrea was a shit character. It had nothing to do with her portrayal and everything to do with the way she was written. Same thing with Karl, man. I mean, Chandler Riggs, I think his acting definitely got better. I mean, he started off as like a 10-year-old actor. I mean, he's a kid, you know.
Little bitty boy.
I mean, we watched him grow, and I did not like him. I remember, like, after the mid-season finale of season 4, you know, Rick your dad just got, he got grazed by a bullet, but, like, essentially shot, got the shit beat out of him. Just went through all the shit you did. You got to sit back and shoot at people from a distance. Meanwhile, your dad was in the thick of the shit getting his ass whooped by the governor. He's like, he thinks his daughter, your sister, just died. And you're like, I don't need you, Dad. You shut the hell up, you little brat. But once they got into Alexandria, I think Karl started growing on me. I mean, the character kind of matured. The actor matured. And I'm telling you, man, one of my favorite moments, it's not a shocking moment. I know I said one of my favorite shocking moments was the Sophia thing. One of my favorite moments to date in the show is his talk with Negan on the wall. That shit just hits me in the feels every time. Like when he's just like, is this who you want it to be? You know, and I loved it. I thought Chandler Riggs did a great job in that. I thought he and Jeffrey Dean Morgan had good chemistry together on screen, and I was looking forward to seeing that continue long after the All Out War saga was over with. So if Karl were still alive, though, we keep getting sidetracked. As you can tell, we love the show.
Yes.
So forgive our ADD when it comes to staying on topic. But if Karl were still alive, if Greg Nicotero weren't a giant douche and wrote him off the way he did, and Karl survived, how do we think it would have been? Do you think Karl would have ever stopped searching for Rick?
No. Unless they found a body, no.
Well, and then, you know, we know if the roles were reversed, Rick would never give up. And that's the thing, too, man. I almost feel like Rick's reaction to Laurie's death and Karl's death should have been flipped. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was sad when Karl died, but, you know what? Karl was his entire reason for everything. Yeah. Like, that's when he should have lost his shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's when he should have just... I don't know, man. I felt like it could have, if you were going to kill Karl, then it could have been written a whole lot better. I mean, that was Rick's essence. I mean, he and Laurie had been on the rocks for months, and I know maybe that made it more tragic to him, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I feel like Rick was...
Well, at least with Karl, he got to say goodbye. You know, Laurie just happened.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which, I mean, I still feel like that would have been, like, just devastating. And it did devastate him, but I get what you're saying. It seems like if one was going to push him over the edge, it'd be Karl, baby.
Well, and then again, man, and I'm going to repeat ourselves, maybe with some new listeners. If you're an old listener, you're like, damn it, Justin's on that Morgan kick again. But seriously, man, like to make Karl just in a matter of like an episode, flip perspectives to, you know, jumping in the back of a truck and machine gunning a bunch of my men down, you know, to there's got to be something after Dad. There's got to be peace. What the hell are you talking about? You spent like the last 8 seasons building this kid up to be a little hardened badass, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's like, there's got to be something after Dad.
Yeah.
We got to quit killing each other. And we had no kind of development to lead him in that route. You know what I mean? Like we didn't have it, or at least if it did, it didn't stand out, not to me. Any moments, like Carol, though I get tired of her flip-flopping of, I don't want to kill people, I've got to kill people. I get it. Like we've had moments where she has to kill people and we see regret and we see how it's affecting her mentality and things like that. With Karl, there was nothing, you know, I mean, nothing. And then all of a sudden, so it should have been, as much as I hate to say, because I love Morgan. Morgan should have been the one to die, not Karl. And his outlook on everything, the fact that Rick owes him his life, I mean, really didn't. Isn't that the way they built it up? I mean, Morgan came back with this whole all life is precious mentality. And it was preaching, even built the damn jail cell. Morgan should have died, and then justice would be served. Instead, you're honoring his his philosophy of every life is precious and you don't kill him if you don't have to. And you're also keeping the man who was responsible for his death locked in the cell that he built. Like it was all perfect. And I don't know, if Greg Nicotero just has mood swings or what gets these people to make these radical shifts like they do. But anyways, I'm sorry. But no, I believe that Karl would constantly be hunting for Rick. I feel like Karl would have been Karl and Lydia would definitely be a thing.
And Darryl and Maggie may not have even been as quick to hatch their scheme against Rick had Karl still been alive.
Well, and Karl may have been able to intervene in some way.
Yeah, he may have squashed that whole stupid thing and he may have been able to easily more convince them that, it's better for Negan to be alive and locked up than to kill him.
Well, and as much as I love Michonne, imagine how cool it would have been for Karl to be the one. Because, in the comics, Karl had Judith's role as far as being the one that went down there and talked to Negan every day.
Yeah.
And it was great because Negan would basically be like, do you still hate me? And Rick Karl would be like, yeah. I want you to die, essentially. But then to have had Maggie approach Karl, like say they were all doing their thing and Karl was hanging back at Alexandria, keeping an eye on things while Rick was away with the construction, and Karl being the one to confront Maggie. And you do hate Negan, but at the same time, they've obviously grown a friendship from all their conversations and the conflict there of, Maggie saying, you've said yourself you want him to die, Karl, But I think that a lot of the story would be a lot different. You wouldn't have had grown Henry bullshit because a lot of his story would have went to Karl. Karl would have been the one to have followed Lydia out and confront the Whisperers and hopefully wouldn't have had his head on a pike. I mean, imagine if that's how Karl went.
My God, dude, don't say that. You're going to haunt my dreams.
Well, speaking of dreams, weren't you the one that had the theory that all along that none of this happened and it was Karl that got killed by Negan in the very beginning?
No, I had, my theory was a little different. I was convinced the summer leading up that Karl was the one that got brained just because I watched a very convincing YouTube tutorial. But no, I had a theory, and I'm still not completely squashed it, that Karl faked his death and was still out there, and that Michonne and Rick were in on it, so to speak. But we won't get into that. This isn't the time or the place.
I'm interested in that. But I think the Whisperer War would have played out very similarly because it played out similarly in the comics. Mm-hmm. So and Karl was in the comics for that part. So I don't imagine it would have been that big of a change. But we wouldn't have had the Henry storyline, which we didn't need. We wouldn't have had. Imagine, actually, though, you know what? A lot of little things would be different, though. Carol wouldn't be on this murderous revenge that she was on. No. They wouldn't have gotten stuck in the cave. Negan might not have gotten let out, or Karl might have been the one to let Negan out, So, I mean, definitely things, the destination would have been the same, but the journey there would have been a lot different.
Drastically, yes.
I like to imagine a world where Karl Grimes was involved. I would love to glimpse into parallel universes where, Karl didn't die.
Yeah.
Noah's speaking. Going back real quick. I just saw something that made me think about this the other week, and I just want to discuss it. Yes, it's Walking Dead what ifs, but we love to discuss the Walking Dead in general. A character that should have lived longer.
Which one?
His death was memorable, and it was good. It just shouldn't have happened when it happened. Noah. I mean, think about it. We had all that boring hospital bullshit with Beth that nobody asked for and nobody liked. And then she stupidly stabs homegirl and gets shot in the head. Okay, so you're like, what the hell? All of this and she's dead. But we've got Noah.
Yeah.
It's the kid that played Everybody Hates Chris. I love that kid. I liked him on The Walking Dead, and he was a cool character. He definitely had potential to grow into an awesome character. I mean, he had heart. He had, he was brave. He was caring. He could have been a great character. But then you turn around and kill him a few episodes later. You know what I'm saying? So really, that whole hospital thing was bull crap.
Yeah.
It was absolute bull crap. That's a character I think, like Karl, should have lived a lot longer than. I mean, I'm fine if you kill him as long as his death You know, and I mean, like I said, it was a memorable, probably one of the, I would say, wouldn't you, one of the most gruesome deaths in the show's history?
Yeah, definitely in the top 5.
But I think Noah should have lived longer. And like I said, I like the character. I like the actor that plays him. I mean, it was cool. They went to Richmond, which I'm not going to give our direct location, but that's not too far from us.
Not too far.
So it was cool, man. And then and hell, Tyrese died for him pretty much. I mean, they were there because of him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, damn it, Beth. If you would have, that's a good Walking Dead what if. What if Beth wouldn't have stabbed, what was her name, Dawn?
Yes.
What if Beth wouldn't have stabbed Dawn? Noah would have stayed. They wouldn't have went to where he lived. Tyrese wouldn't have died when he did. Beth would have still been alive. That's a wild what if.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do an entire video on that. What if Beth wouldn't have stabbed Dawn?
Yeah, but that was a good one, Owen. That's a fun one to chew on. Scrolling up to the next one, the Appalachian American got me chuckling a little bit just because he says Rick's brother is just Andy Lincoln with a mustache.
That would be great if you brought him in and be like,
Yeah.
what was it? I've got the comic. You gave it to me, actually.
It's called The Alien.
The Alien. What was his
Walking
brother's
Dead.
name?
I can't remember either.
Didn't you give me that recently?
Yeah, I ordered 2 off of eBay.
Yeah, because you gave me one for birthday or
Something like that.
something, yeah. But yeah, what if he just walked up and was like, my name's Robbie Grimes. Rick? No, I'm Robbie. Can't you see I have a mustache? Rick clearly does not have a mustache.
Yeah, that would be so silly.
Where's Michonne? The Bible says if a man dies, his brother's supposed to take his wife, and Michonne, well, she's pretty damn good looking.
Oh, man.
That would be great.
Yeah. But, Angelo Marocchi.
Angelo?
Well, it's a A-N-D and then Jello.
Oh, got you. I was saying,
So I'm not sure, but
Angelo.
We're going to call you, yeah, we love you, and I can't say most words I read are difficult for me, but we do love you, and this is a pretty interesting what if. What if the governor accepted Rick's offer, and somehow they managed to live together, plus kept the tank and met Negan? Now, that's interesting.
We're saying not because Rick offered him 2 deals, one to stay on one side of the river. So we're saying like the prison, something
They
came
lived
over
together, yes.
So like the governor's change was genuine. Like when he saw that there was no need for conflict and that he could get things done peacefully, like because you know they had us. He was playing it like I'm concerned for this little girl and her mama, who I love banging very much, and that's why I want the prison to keep them all safe. And I mean, they did elude that maybe that's where his intentions lie because he didn't really jump on this quest until like that walker infiltrated the camp and almost killed the little girl and stuff. But at the end, I think it was still just his. Some men just have the desire to conquer, and I think the governor just had that in his DNA, just this desire to conquer other people. But so we're saying in this scenario, the governor was being genuine and really didn't care about the beef. He just wanted to protect his family. And he said, number one, I think Rick would have killed him.
You think he would have?
Oh,
He would
yeah.
have double-crossed him.
I mean, I know that Herschel wouldn't have approved because Herschel would have probably been like, Rick, like he laid down his weapons when he clearly had us dead to rights. I mean, he might not be a threat, but I don't think that Glenn, Maggie, Rick, I don't think any of them would have lived under the same roof as the governor. I just don't think it would have happened. They might would have let them come in and then assassinate him in the night. You know what I'm saying? Or once they come in, you know, I think that once they came in, they would have surrounded them, said, you know, turn over your weapons and locked him in a cell, you know, something. And even if they didn't kill him, I think they would have locked. I don't think it would have went peacefully. But if, for the sake of our good friend Angelo's, what if they came into the prison and Rick and the governor made friends and were going up against Negan, that would be a hell of a fight. Granted, I don't know how it would have happened because without the prison destroyed, they wouldn't have went to Terminus. They wouldn't have migrated the way that they did. They would have stayed in the prison and been in Georgia. And I don't know that they ever would have met Negan because Negan was operating up around Alexandria area, and Georgia and Alexandria are quite a ways away, you know.
Yeah, I would love to just in my mind, my fantasy plays out like you see the governor bring up the sword to decapitate Herschel, and you can tell he's kind of thinking deeply. And next thing you know, he cuts a watermelon in half, and then cue the music. Everyone starts dancing, and they embrace his brothers.
Let me tell you about my best friend.
And
He's
just
a
all enjoy
watermelon
melon together. Yeah.
Like a watermelon. He's like, Rick, watermelon?
It's like, what's better, a severed human head or fresh cut watermelon? I think
fresh cut watermelon's always better.
Yeah, for real.
Speaking of which, I need to go get some watermelon. It's about that time of the year.
Yeah, dude. We go to the roadside produce sometime soon.
Yeah, man.
Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. Oh, God, where are we going
What
with
are
this?
you doing
I don't
over there?
know.
Keep your tongue in your mouth,
I'm getting
man.
loony, man. I'm getting loony. I'm thinking about weird stuff.
I think we're both sleep deprived. We both mentioned this morning that we didn't sleep worth. Neither one of us slept worth a damn last night.
Man.
So.
All I could think about was bad things.
Was your girlfriend home last night?
Yeah, she was.
Did she sleep, or did y'all both stay up late?
We both say. Well, she always stays up late. She's like
A night owl.
She's just about borderline insomniac. But yeah, we both. She went to bed before I did, but I don't know who actually fell asleep because I stayed up. I watched. I DVR'd Rick and Morty, and I watched that at about 1:00.
Nice.
And she was still on her phone in the bed, and I don't know who dozed off first, but yeah, and it's been so doggone hot.
But anyways, back to the Walking Dead. The governor and Rick together would have been, but the governor and future Rick would have gotten along fine because the governor was just to kill them all. If they're an enemy of us, to hell with them. We take them out. We don't add. We take them out. So later on. But like I said, man, the chance of him and Rick meeting Negan at that point would have been. Probably very improbable. I just don't know if Negan would have
far north,
right? Maybe though. Hot diggity dog! Look at this prison.
Yeah, and it could. I think it would have been years down the road, but maybe Negan would have kept expanding and turning it into an empire.
I wish The Walking Dead would do something cool that no other show's done. I wish they would just give us a set of Elseworld tales or what ifs. I would love to see the governor meet Negan. Just a little short. Make these little shorts for us. Since you're a show that kills off a lot of characters, make these little shorts where, just in another reality, or what if the governor defeated Rick and show how they worked their way up to Alexandria and run into Negan,
And they could easily, if nothing else, like Marvel's going to do, make that an animated series.
No, I want it to be a show. I would like an animated Walking Dead show, absolutely, but I would want what I'm saying to happen in the show because I like David Morrissey. I like Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I would love to see them two work together in that regard. But yeah, I think with the governor at Rick's side, I think he would have had I think he might have had a slight advantage.
Yeah, he would have for sure. But that's a good one. Thank you, Corey. No, that wasn't Corey that gave us that.
That was the Angelo, right?
Yeah, thank you for that one. Are
you sure it's not just Angelo?
It may be. I don't. I can barely speak or read as it is. So no offense to you, our dear listener.
You read every week.
I know, but not very well. But we're jumping up to Stefan. What if Maggie lost Herschel during her trip with Georgie and finds him back at the Commonwealth? Could that be plausible?
Wait, what?
So Maggie and little Herschel go on their trip with Georgie, and I guess Herschel gets lost, and then they find the Commonwealth.
Taking that goes kind of with what we were talking about last week. Instead of the Michonne taking that role, Maggie's son is at the Commonwealth. Well, it'd be better because in the comics, her son became a little douchebag. So
yeah, and that maybe could be the reason. He didn't get raised completely by Maggie. He got raised by whoever. Almost like a Moses story. He goes down the river and is found by Pamela at the Commonwealth. Although most people are assuming that Georgie is somehow connected to the Commonwealth. I don't know.
I think I thought that too, but I thought I had read that she wasn't.
Oh, is that right?
But I could be completely wrong.
I don't know.
Swear I thought I had read somewhere that she was not connected to the Commonwealth.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Herschel separated. Pamela ends up raising him, which is why he grows up to be such a prick. Maggie comes along, And,
yeah, it would make sense because in the comics, man, little Herschel was a douchebag.
Yeah, he was a real piece of work. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, that's a very interesting idea.
We're not really going into the what ifs like we should today. I'm sorry, it's Monday. We're tired. But if that was the case, then I predict that she would follow very closely to Michonne's story arc.
I believe so too.
Of finding her daughter or finding her kid, and then yada 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 yada. Some people, let me tell you, some people are now saying, all right, so if you listen to our podcast regularly, you know a while back we talked about a Commonwealth story arc, which involved spoilers, huge spoilers, almost the king of spoilers when it comes to the comics. So if you don't want to hear this, tune away. But in the comics, Rick has to kill Dwight.
That's right.
Dwight has to die because he's like, Dwight's not wrong. He sees the Commonwealth for what it is, and he sees that Pamela is essentially just a more politically groomed, well-mannered version of Negan is all she is. And he decides to take her out and take over the Commonwealth and free the people because they have a very laid out class system there. And Rick kills Dwight. Yeah. Because he knows that as right as Dwight is, that this place could be the future. I mean, it's the closest thing to life before the zombies as they've ever seen. And we were saying, like, man, what if do you think Darryl will have to kill Carol? Like who's going to take that role? Will Darryl have to kill Negan? Some people are saying Dwight's going to come back.
No.
And that it will be Darryl that kills him. Like, Dwight's coming back to The Walking Dead, and then he will still be the one to die at the Commonwealth in the same way that he did in the comics, but instead it'll be Darryl that has to kill him.
I'd be fine, man. I don't care much about Dwight in the.
I did
TV
until he went to
show.
Fear the Walking Dead. Like, at first, I did not like him, which I guess I wasn't supposed to. He was a villain. But the old Dwighty boy came around on me, man. I actually kind of liked him towards the end. And
he's got a rat face. He's just he's not very attractive to me, and I know that's not what it should be all about.
Right.
But I don't like him. I don't like his. I don't like the fact that he's chasing this girl all across the country.
My only problem with him was he shoots guns with his middle finger. Like, they had that one, I mean, it was just one time, but they had a picture where he comes around with his index finger, pointer finger on the slide, and his middle finger's on the trigger. Nobody that shoots guns does that. The only reason to pull the trigger with your middle finger is because someone chopped off your pointer finger.
Yeah, what a jerk.
But anyways.
Yeah, but Stefan, you always throw good scenarios at us. Stefan's actually got quite a few questions as to our opinions on different scenarios, and Stefan, maybe we'll be podcasting more this week, and maybe we
got time for another few. We hadn't been going too long. Well, give one or two of them at least.
Okay. Let's see. Do you think Maggie will take Michonne? Well, we more or less just talked about that. Talking about Maggie taking Michonne's comic storyline, so we really did cover that.
If the whole kid, the Herschel at the Commonwealth thing pans out, then yeah, that's definitely how I think that would play out.
So we really kind of have delved into this. Stefan asks, do we think Darryl will die, or will he survive the entire series and carry the franchise, or will there be an entire new crew? Kind of like the Jurassic Park franchise carried with Jurassic World.
They're already getting a new crew. I mean, everybody's leaving the show to go to the Rick movie. They say now Carol's going to be in the Rick movies. Michonne's going to be in the Rick movies. It's like all the OGs are just bouncing out, and they're trying to get us in. I mean, and if they're going to do that, then you need to start giving us more time. And with characters we like Luke. I like Luke a lot. He's a cool character. I'd be down to spend more time with him on the show. Magna, I really couldn't care much about. Yumiko, don't really care much about her. Connie, I really like Connie. Kelly, Kelly was take it or leave it for me. Like, I didn't not like her. I just didn't really, but now as it's gone, and the relationship between her and Connie, and the actress has really had time to, I like her now. So long story short, I like Kelly now. So I like Kelly and I like Connie. So let's spend more time with them if they're going to be the ones to carry the show forward. But I mean, Beth already told Darryl. I feel like they're foreshadowing. She said, you'll be the last man alive.
I think he'll make it to the last season. They may kill him off towards the end, but he'll probably make it all the way through. And it would be cool if they keep the franchise going for him to, continue on with it. When I was first reading Stefan's comment, at first I thought it's getting ready to say that the actor was going into the Jurassic Park franchise. I was like, oh man, that's perfect.
It's a dinosaur.
Perfect casting.
He's like taking T-Rexes out with his crossbows.
Yeah.
It's a velociraptor. Excuse me. I just imagine, Darryl is basically the Walking Dead version of Beyonce. Mm-hmm. He's a survivor.
Absolutely. And he's bootylicious. Don't forget about that.
Maybe, but, I could just see Darryl, Darryl spends all that time alone in the woods, and we imagine he's brooding, but what if that's what he does is, like, when he knows no one's watching, he stands up and he's like, I'm a survivor. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to give up,
No, I don't think you're ready for this jelly.
If you like Rick, if I liked Rick, then I should have put a ring on it.
Oh, God.
But yeah, no, Darryl will probably survive the whole thing. I mean, I feel like they foreshadowed that with Beth, with her, you'll be the last man standing, or I can't remember her exact comment, but something in that, that same arena, you'll survive. So no, I don't think we're going to see Darryl die.
Yeah, although it seems like sometimes the writers have a bad way of forgetting things that have already happened in the show.
Like what?
It just seems like it sometimes,
Give me an example.
It just does.
I mean, I need an example, though, man. That sounds more like you're talking about Game of Thrones than The Walking Dead.
No, The Walking Dead. It just, just how there's certain characters, they'll just kind of flip the script on them.
Oh, I get what you... Okay, no. I'm sorry. I was looking into what you were saying wrong. I get what you're saying. Kind of like what we were just talking about with Karl, how he just flip-flops from one day. He's like a little badass to dad. We need peace, love, and more love.
Yeah.
I got you. You're right.
But we got one more from a dear friend, longtime listener, Corey Andros. What if Beth, and we've kind of touched on this already a little bit, but Corey definitely has some interesting thoughts. What if Beth never died and was still alive in season 10? How do you think her character would have evolved? Lots of people hate her character, but I always thought she was interesting because she had a cool arc, going from suicidal to pushing people down elevator shafts, and Emily's acting was on point. Could go even further with this and ask, what if Maggie died instead of Beth? How would that affect the group, Glenn, the events of All Out War? And Corey, as always, kind words. Love these what if discussions. Keep up the great work, Bromios. So yeah, we love you too,
nice.
Corey.
Yeah,
and, that's Corey. Definitely, man. He's really good at laying these scenarios out.
Yeah,
really good.
Beth would have been okay as long as she didn't sing anymore.
You didn't like the singing?
No, not one bit. Like, it's one of those. I know that Emily Kinney is a singer, and that's great for her. But but Will Smith doesn't rap in every movie he's in. He might do the soundtrack, but he doesn't rap in the movie. Just because you're a musician doesn't mean we have to see that in the program. And I don't know. She's not a bad singer. And it's what's cool is I read, I think from a commenter, and I've mentioned this a few times, that she wrote the song that Beta's character, Beta's country counterpart of himself was singing in that record. So, I mean, I liked Emily Kinney, and man, watching her, no kidding, man, of all the people to depart the show, I really didn't care much for Beth. I didn't hate her like some, but I didn't really care. I could take her or leave her. But when she left the show, her leaving made me the saddest, just because Emily Kinney seemed like the sweetest person, and then she went on to get naked on that show, Kings of Sex.
Oh, I still haven't watched that, dude, but I would like for us to watch it together.
Let's do it. But yeah, I liked Emily Kinney a lot. And I mean, she started kind of crying, when she left. And I mean, she was so sweet. And I liked it. I liked her. And you're right, Corey. I never thought about, really her character's evolution. She really did go from this, she could have become a badass over time.
She could have.
I mean, she went from this suicidal, almost, would nihilist be the right term? Just kind of what's the point in it all?
I think that would be correct.
Nihilist is when you don't care about nothing, right?
Even double and negatives.
Right, yeah. You don't not care about none.
Exactly.
But, she went from this, there's no point to being a survivor and, really kind of tough. I mean, she was a small little girl, too. So she had, had to have a little extra fight in her to survive. And, through her time with Darryl and then the time at the hospital, she definitely had all of the steps there needed to become a badass and to become a survivor. But, Again, that's why I think her stabbing Dawn was the stupidest move.
Especially not in a kill spot.
Right. Like, you should have stabbed her in the throat, like, or something, man. Like, to me, that was stupid. I mean, if anything, Beth's character, that's something that season 2 Beth would have done back when she just was naive and hadn't really seen the true horror of the world that she was living in now. If anything, she could have, told Rick and them after they left, like, I want us to go back in there and figure out a way to get Noah, which could have been a really cool thing, Yeah. I don't know why the show felt they had to trade Beth for Noah. And I love Noah. I really like that character, man. But I feel like there was another way you could have gotten him with the group.
Yeah, you got to feel like all this time killing walkers, it'd almost be muscle memory to just, if you're going to stab somebody, you do it in the brain,
Yeah, but I don't know if those little surgical scissors would pierce a skull.
This definitely would have had to go through the eye socket. Yeah.
Do you think so? Definitely through the eye socket?
Yeah, and even then probably would have just put her eye out and she'd be screaming and bloody, and that would have just been nasty.
Yeah, that was the thing. When this show started, I was like looking like, I know that the knives can stab people in the head, but is it that easy to pierce a skull? And then some people are like, oh, the zombie skull's really soft. But you got to think about it. When they fight, bones don't really...
They don't really soften.
No, like even when the body rots. I mean, if you were to stab someone in the head, it's not the skin that's resisting the knife so much as it is that hard skull, which is there to protect the brain from things piercing it. And... which I definitely think a strong enough knife in the right spot and all that, it could be done. But I always wondered, and I felt, you ever Google things and feel like you instantly just added yourself to a government watch list?
Oh, all the time.
Like that it's been years ago, but I remember like Googling, like, can you stab someone in the head with a knife? Like, and I was like, yep, the government's like, all right, we got another psycho in the making here. Let's just keep an eye on him. But it's because I really wonder, like, I know some knives could, but can knives and screwdrivers really like pierce the skull as easy as they do?
I mean, just with one quick like jab, what I'm saying? I mean, shoot, Morgan's putting that stick through skulls like they're overripe melons.
That's probably, it's a show about dead people eating living people, so I know that it can't be 100% realistic in a lot of regards. I'm fine with the knife through the skulls. That's just something I personally wondered, you know what I mean? Like, I don't mind in the show if they stab them, because that channel Zombie Go Boom I used to enjoy, where they just take different weapons and try them out on like their little lifelike zombie models. On their show, they pretty much proved, unless I guess you've got a freaking crazy long knife, that like stabbing one under the chin, it doesn't get to the brain. And that's actually a really hard, even with a long knife, that's a hard pathway to take from the jaw up to the brain. It don't really work that way.
That I didn't know.
But I'm cool with all of that. It's a show, man. I mean, how many times have you seen characters go and just crack the neck real quick? And it's like, I can tell you, I remember I took martial arts for many, many, many years. And I remember, of course, Mortal Kombat, it came out, the movie, and we were asking our instructor about, that neck break you see in every movie where they just go, and he's like, no, it don't really work like that. I mean, you can break someone's neck with your hands, definitely, but I mean, you're basically going to have to twist the head of about at least 180. I mean, you're going to have to, it'd be very gruesome. You know what I mean? Like, you're sitting there basically just twisting their head around, and I mean, not to say that some people aren't strong or skilled enough to do that in one motion, but the shows and movies make it look a lot easier than it is. But I mean, I'm cool with all of that. But the one thing I had a problem with was Morgan stabbing zombies in the head with a blunt stick. Like, that just never made sense to me. Once he sharpened it, I mean, it was more believable if you just had them crack their skulls in one hit, you know what I mean? But sitting there stabbing zombies in the head with a blunt stick, just to me, I'm like, all right, now they really don't care about anything now. I mean, geez Louise.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, it's still a fun rabbit hole to go down, Corey. It definitely would have been a much different show.
Yeah, and I really don't like the idea, though, I'm not going to lie, of Maggie dying and Beth surviving. I don't think she could have filled the role the way Maggie did, which a lot of people were hating on Maggie, but a lot of people seem to forget that. A lot of Maggie's hate didn't really show up until that bullshit at the end of season 8. Like, I really don't remember, and I could be wrong. We've been podcasting about the show now for like 4 or 5 years, so it's easy to forget things. But I don't really remember people saying, I don't like Maggie, before she pulled that whole, we're going to wait and buy our time. and then we're going to show Rick. And then Darryl being like, yeah, we are.
We're going to show him real good.
We're going to show him.
I hope that I push him into a big, deep hole.
Darryl was thinking, I've been trying to show him for many seasons.
Oh, no.
We talking about my dick, right? Old Dare Bear. But yeah, interesting questions, guys. And sorry if we're a little JP's been doing great. I'm scatterbrained today, man. I'm sleep deprived. I'm tired. There's a lot happening in the world right now, and work's busy, and so I apologize if I'm going off on tangents so easy. It's just and I just finished my coffee, so that's kicked in. So I don't know, JP. I have a Walking Dead what if to you.
Okay.
We're taking it to the Barn of Pleasures.
Okay.
If you're a new listener now, let me warn you. The Barn of Pleasures is not somewhere for the weak of heart.
No.
If you the Barn of Pleasures spawned from when we were podcasting about Fear the Walking Dead, and it got so boring that somehow we diverted to this place where all the Walking Dead characters have sex with each other in a barn, and King Ezekiel is king of the Barn of Pleasures.
Yes.
But are you ready?
I hope so.
All right. Well, this isn't so much a what if at first, but I want to. All right. So, Barn of Pleasures. We know King Ezekiel's at the head, but who are the King Ezekiel and what 4 characters start the Barn of Pleasures?
Oh, geez. So this is like an origin story,
right,
so to speak. Okay.
Like King Ezekiel and other characters. And remember, this is an Elseworlds tale, so the story doesn't have to line up perfectly with the show. I mean, you could have King Ezekiel with Rick much earlier on. It don't have to be just him, because otherwise it'd be really boring. The Barn of Pleasures would have been founded by King Ezekiel, Jerry. Who else is in the kingdom that's worth note?
Nobody.
Right. So it would have been King Ezekiel and Jerry and Shiva walking through, and King Ezekiel's just like, Jerry, that barn looks like a good place for us to have sex. And then the Barn of Pleasures is born. Like, dude, give it a more. That's why dude. Yeah. No, Jerry would have whatever the king said. Oh, dude, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Awesome, dude. Awesome sauce, boss. Oh, taking his pants off as he runs into the barn. Come on, dude. Oh. But so the origin story of the Barn of Pleasures is it's pretty boring if you run it exactly by the show. So give me a different origin story, JP. I'm turning it over to you, King Ezekiel, and what 4 people. And just tell me, like, how did it happen? Your take on things.
I think Jerry definitely would have had to been in there because he's always by the king's side, and he's not going to let him get into a precarious situation unguarded. I see it kind of happening like Victor Strand just said to hell with the whole family and just sailed the Abigail all the way to the East Coast, and he pulls up. And he's just looking for a good time, baby. He's just looking for a good time.
So Jerry is one, and then we know that Strand is the other. If you don't watch Fear, Victor Strand is a character from Fear the Walking Dead.
Yeah, I feel like it would be crazy not to have him in there.
And he talks like this.
Yes, and he's probably ran out of booze, and he's like, well, that barn, they've got to be making some moonshine in there. Let me investigate this.
That barn looks like a good place to please that booty.
Yeah. And King Ezekiel's already in there with Jerry. And
now, what are they doing in there, though?
Well, they're just, they're looking for supplies, and Ezekiel's already got all this stuff going through his mind, and Jerry's just kind of looking at the straps and the chains and just like.
So are they? I don't mean to keep interrupting you, but I just want to make sure I follow your story. Are they looking for supplies, like scavenging for survival, or have they officially found the barn and they're looking for supplies to turn it into the sex? The sexual barn that it becomes. Well, no. What kind of supplies are they looking for?
No, as far as Jerry knows, they're just looking for it's like any other supply run, but of course. King Ezekiel starts seeing like the chains and the spurs and all this weird barn stuff hanging around, and ideas start running through his mind, of course. And then Victor Strand's walking through the woods, and he sees the barn, and he's like, "Oh, maybe there's a old farmer's moonshine still or something like this." And then you have let's see, who would it be?
So as they're walking, Ezekiel's like, Jerry, grab those whips. For the horses, boss? Yes, Jerry, for the horses. Grab those handcuffs and those... boss, are these still for the horses? Just grab the shit I tell you, Jerry. Damn, man. Quit asking questions. Yeah. Okay, dude.
Oh, gosh. I need a fourth.
I happen to know a thing or two about handcuffs. Yeah. But first, do you have moonshine? This is the land of rednecks, and I know rednecks love moonshine. It's alcoholic. It's an alcoholic drink, so therefore I would like to drink it.
Yeah. Gosh, so who would be the last person to make their way?
Can you imagine if Rick busted into the Barn of Pleasures on a supply line? Why is that one man dressed up like a tiger? Why are these people all just doing each other? Don't they know it's an apocalypse out there? Oh. This is how we distract ourselves from the horrors of the outside by getting on the inside.
Exactly.
Man, this is weird. Michonne, can we join them? Darryl just grabs Rick's arms come on, Rick. Michonne, you watch outside. Make sure no walkers show up.
No.
So you've got 2. Now you've got to tell me how 2 more show up.
Oh, jeez.
I just gave you, man. You can just make up anything. That's in my mind. That's how Rick and Darryl stumble upon it. Rick and Darryl and Michonne are out scavenging, and Rick's like, man, this is weird. I don't mind man-on-man action, but to each their own, I care about everybody. I don't care what your sexuality is, but why is he dressed up like a tiger? Come on, Rick. Let's go.
What was this?
Because we all know Darryl wanted Rick some kind of bad.
Yeah. What was Negan's right-hand man that he had to kill?
Simon.
Simon shows up, and he starts talking about how they owe him half of everything they've got, and Ezekiel's like, oh, we'll give you much more than half.
I'll give you the whole thing. You see Simon? Where's that music coming from? Now, where is Strand in the barn at this point, or is he on the outside watching all of this unfold?
I think Strand's made his way inside.
So would all the saviors just wait outside? Simon don't really travel alone, or all the saviors just waiting outside, not being invited into the Barn of Pleasures?
Yeah, well, at first Simon's just like, I better go inside and handle this myself real quick.
They knock on the door 2 hours later. Boss, are you okay? Leave me alone!
Yeah.
Oh, he's more than okay.
Oh,
and now you got one more main character. You got to throw one more in there.
Well,
Princess would be awesome in the Barn of Pleasures.
Princess would be.
She just would, because she's so funny. She just roll it and be like, dude, sex.
So far, it is a real sausage fest.
Right. I mean, I love how the Barn of Pleasures is not all homoerotic. The girls are there too in a lot of our stories, but somehow I give you the chance to pick 4 characters, and so far all of them have been
just a big gay orgy.
Make no mistake, the Barn of Pleasures does not sexually discriminate against anyone.
No, it doesn't.
In this world, I bet you people who found us, right, who've never listened to us up to this point, would probably like, all right, I can dig this podcast. I mean, it's not the best one out there, but they talk about the show. I can dig it. Now they're at the point where they're like, what the hell happened?
Oh, gosh almighty.
Come on, you got to give me one more character before we can wrap this thing up.
Okay, so far it's at least got Simon and Strand.
And Ezekiel and Jerry. Which Jerry and Ezekiel don't count because they were pretty much all. No, you got 2 more to give me, yeah. Right, because you said, because Jerry and King Ezekiel are already together. So, I mean, I need 4 other characters.
Oh, gosh. Oh,
so you got Strand.
Well, I would say probably Alpha and Beta walk up, and Alpha's like, living amongst the dead is good, but I think having constant sex in this bond would be much better.
Beta, I need you to stand guard. I have some primitive urges that I need to work on.
So we know she's a freaky freak.
Mm-hmm. I would like to come in. He's like, I would like to come in with you, Alpha. Wrong answer. Oh, no. Wait outside while I go handle these nice gentlemen. Are you going to really just leave the mask on like that? Don't question me, Beta. Do you want to be the alpha? No. I miss her, man. She was she's Samantha Morton, right? I think I called her like Morrison or something before. Morton. She's such a good actress. She was on that show a couple weeks ago, the one with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, like From His House, the one they started during the quarantine.
Oh, right. Yeah,
she's so cool, man. She's such a good actress, and she just seems like and it's so crazy how it always works that way. That like some of the best villains in like movie or show history are like some of the nicest people in real life. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And she seems like such a humble, just cool person. Except
for the prick from he's an asshole in a lot of movies. I think Beetlejuice, maybe he was the dad or no, I don't know, but turns out he was like a rapist or a pedophile or something.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Yeah, like the orange hair and the mustache. You'd recognize. He's one of those actors you would recognize immediately, right? And be like, oh yeah, he's been an asshole in every movie he's ever been in.
So Alpha shows up. Now Beta's standing outside with these other saviors who know that their leaders are in there. And by now, they're hearing sounds. Alpha's like, so primitive. Yeah. Give it to me caveman style. Jerry, G did, and you just hear. And I imagine, like in all of our stories, Ezekiel's not even having sex. Like he's just standing up. Like imagine Herschel's barn. Ezekiel's just standing up on the loft with his cane. It's like, yes, my children, enjoy yourselves.
Yeah. Just feeding off the energy.
Yeah. Oh, I'm getting such a spiritual boner right now. Ugh. So who else? You got to give me at least one more character. We've got Alpha, Strand, and Simon. A random bunch, if I do say so, are in there partaking in the Barn of Pleasures. Well, pleasures. Do you imagine that Jerry's involved, or is he up there like beside Ezekiel? Because I think we've established that in the Barn of Pleasures universe, Shiva had already died. So Jerry wears a tiger costume and just kind of sits beside Ezekiel, and sometimes Ezekiel will do his thing. But how about those? All right, you threw another female. Let's even it out, man. I mean, you got. I love that. In a play, you're throwing dudes in there left and right. How about we throw some females in there?
I mean, we could, I guess. I reckon.
No, if I must.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna twist my arm. I think. Earl the blacksmith. He comes around.
Found me an old stockpile of Viagra. I'm ready to go. As long as he didn't bring his damn wife, man. Yeah, damn, she got on my nerves. Yeah. Oh, I would like. You know who I would like to see?
Who?
Being that I think you enjoy the homoerotic stuff a little bit more than I do. I tend to be more. I think my Barn of Pleasures. I would love to see Rick's former love interest, Jess.
Oh, wow. Yeah. She was beautiful.
And sorry, I don't mean to sexualize, anybody, but she kind of just got into, like, when she did American Horror Story and she was that sexy redheaded maid. Oh, my damn, man.
Yeah.
Jessica. You know who I think, you know what? Nah, I don't want to go down that route.
The guy who drove the tank, the Mexican dude, because he has such a
he wasn't Mexican, attitude. Was he?
Well, I know he
just seemed kind of like just like
he's Latino, like in Oz.
Talking about the one that Darryl shot,
right?
I just thought he was just a regular old white dude.
Well, I know in Oz he played one of the Latino gangsters, so I think
I just never noticed that. Yeah. Huh? Interesting.
Yeah, I think he was definitely Latino in some form or fashion.
He was a dick, man. I didn't like him at all. Like the governor kills his brother, and then he follows him.
Yeah, he just had that like stink eye, that puss on his face. I think he'd walk in there looking all big and bad and tough, and next thing you know, they got him greased up and strapped to the wall and.
I didn't like it. His voice was weird, too. It's like, he was always talking from back here.
Yeah, it was. And he wasn't like that on Oz. He was one of the best characters on that show.
Pick up your weapon now.
Yeah.
We want what you got, asshole. Oh, I didn't really like him. Your Barn of Pleasures was not as wild as I thought it was going to be. We just figured, for those that are new to the podcast thinking you're never going to listen again because what the hell did we just spend the last 20 minutes talking about? That is something that we've done throughout the last year or so. If you go back and listen, we've had some good moments from the Barn of Pleasures. But it just that's more fanfare for the listeners who've listened for a while. They seem to really enjoy the Barn of Pleasures. But I don't know, maybe it's time to retire the Barn of Pleasures. I really can't think of any new scenarios for it.
I don't know.
Or at least just put it on reserve and only reference it if it's something that's gold,
Well,
You killed the Barn of Pleasures.
Probably.
I'm just playing.
The Fear the Walking Dead, if it's as bad as it was last season, we'll probably have plenty of time to.
Negan would walk in and be like, damn, it's all dudes in here. I mean, I ain't downing anybody for what they want to do, but hot diggity dog.
Yeah.
Alpha, come here. Oh, I'm tired. I tell you what, if this podcast was not up to your standards, I apologize, man. My brain is just not working today. I'm struggling. It's one of the Monday-est of Mondays I've had in a very long time.
Yeah.
But we hope everybody has as wonderful Monday as possible. We'll definitely see you on Patreon tomorrow. Be sure to check out our Patreon, too, because it's not all Walking Dead autoerotic. I don't even know my erotic terms. But it's not all that. It's definitely, I think, one of our best received podcasts is the Patreon exclusive podcast. So for as little as $1 a month, you can get 8 extra podcasts per month. So check that out if you're interested. The good thing is Patreon, if you're not familiar with it, there's no commitment. You can just pull out at any time.
That's true. It's a good feeling. Not as good as staying in, though. So just keep that in mind.
Oh, God. Why is everything sexual today?
I don't know.
Oh, but check out the Patreon for a Patreon exclusive podcast tomorrow. And for our regular listeners, I have to say, heads up, I will be out of town on a little mini vacation from this coming Friday through next Tuesday. So the podcast will resume with Weird Wednesday next Wednesday, but there will be a few missing podcasts between now and then. So don't give up on us. We haven't quit. I need a vacation.
A little downtime, yeah.
Yeah, I think JP does too. I think working multiple different jobs and podcasting on top of that. I think a few days off will do your soul some good.
No, I can't break a routine.
So you're just going to sit here and talk to yourself?
Yeah.
Like somebody comes in and it's like you've got the mics pulled out, it's recording, but it's just you. And the eerie thing is it's not just you talking, like you're responding to me. You're like, what do you think, Justin? But I hope everybody has a wonderful Monday. Do me a favor, go out there and love somebody.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and I really don't mean that sexually. In a world that is just chock full of hate right now, do something to find some love. It's plenty out there, I promise. And don't let the media dictate all of your perspective.
No, don't do that neither.
But I hope everyone is safe. I hope everyone has a good Monday for the millionth time. As you can tell, I'm having trouble closing this out. So I'm going to go. We'll see you soon. I'm Justin.
I'm JP.
Bye.